We'll just wait for another 2 minutes and then we can start. Okay, so I think the time is up. We'll start the meeting. So first of all, I would like to introduce you. So today we have here with us Dr. Sonali Patil. She's the HOD of the IT department, PCCOE, and she has a wonderful experience in teaching of over 17 plus years. She has a degree in computer engineering and has done a master's from SPPU itself. She's been a very active lead in arranging various events like TEDx talks and other student development. So today she's also a IEEE professional member with many patents and research papers oriented. And to put a few other experiences in her name, she's also pursued PhD in information security in 2015. And today, as you all know, the topic of discussion is going to be demystifying blockchain. So without any further delay, I would request ma'am to kindly begin with the meeting and grace us all. Ma'am, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, good afternoon all. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, yes.
Yeah. Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
All participants?
Yes.
So, good afternoon all. And first of all, I would like to thank Principal R.N. Patil sir and HOD Uday Patkar sir for giving me this opportunity to talk to you, all of you, on this topic, which is pretty new technology, I will say, and that's why there are many misconceptions. And I hope this discussion will help the students that what is blockchain, some idea, and why to work with blockchain technology, and what are the opportunities in the field of this blockchain technology. So thank you, Uday sir, and thank you, R.N. Patil sir, and thank you all the participants. At the end, I will take your questions. And as I know that this is post-lunch session, so it's quite challenging to keep you all engaged with my talk. But I hope I will try my best to make you understand whatever I'm sharing with you. So because at PCCOE, we have been working with this blockchain-based projects from last 2-3 years. And what is my observation is students are very fascinated to work on this technology, but they think that Bitcoin is only the blockchain. And if we have to choose a use case, how we should decide which use case will be useful while implementing on blockchain technology, which are the platforms available to work on the blockchain technology. So that's why this talk will help you all to understand the fundamental of the blockchain, the infrastructures available for the blockchain, types of the blockchain, and most important is while working with the blockchain technology, how to choose the use case. So for almost everyone, experience of the evolution of blockchain, which I think is pretty common. Hearing about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and thinking that was novel and interesting. But Bitcoin is not the only player in town. Blockchain is much more than that. So let's start by asking ourselves, what is a blockchain? So unlike traditional methods, blockchain enables peer-to-peer transfer of digital assets without any intermediaries. So the blockchain by itself has taken a life of its own and diffused a broad range of applications across many industries, including finance, healthcare, government, manufacturing, and distribution. In 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto introduced a new concept, new digital currency rather, a cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. The two major contributions of cryptocurrency Bitcoin are a continuously working digital currency system and a model for autonomous decentralized application technology called the blockchain. So blockchain is one technology, and one of the use case of the blockchain is Bitcoin, which was like, we should say that this is the first use case of blockchain technology. So what is a blockchain? The blockchain is about enabling peer-to-peer transaction in a decentralized network, establishing trust among unknown peers, recording the transaction in an immutable distributed ledger. Let's understand this peer-to-peer transaction with the example of centralized versus decentralized network using a common scenario. So consider a scenario where customer wants to buy an item using her credit card. Let's enumerate the intermediaries involved in accomplishing this task. We have a credit card agency, we have a customer bank, we have a credit card bank, we have an exchange, we have the merchant's bank, and finally the merchant. This is an example of a centralized system that we are so used to. Now compare this with the system where peers can transact directly with each other, as we can see in the other diagram. So the peers transact with each other irrespective of where they are located. Functions of the intermediaries are shifted to the periphery to the peer participant in the blockchain infrastructure. Peers are not necessarily known to each other. It's a decentralized system. So how do we establish trust among the peers in such a decentralized system? By having a process in place to validate, verify, and confirm transactions. Record the transactions in a distributed ledger of blocks. Create a tamper-proof record of block, chain of blocks. Implement a consensus protocol for agreement on the block to be added to the chain. So validation, verification, consensus, and immutable recording lead to the when request for a transaction. The group of transaction is called as the block. The block is broadcast among all the peers, and among the nodes, few nodes called as miners, they follow the proof of work or proof of stake of the proof of stake algorithm to add the block in the blockchain. And once it is verified and validated by all, the transaction gets executed. That means added in the blockchain. So I purposely not talking on the algorithms, cryptography algorithms, or the complete technique, how this process is happening. That can be a separate topic, which we can have little later. But today, my focus is telling you the importance or the available infra for the blockchain technology. But overall, the blockchain working is like this. So this working is especially Bitcoin in Bitcoin infrastructure. This process is followed. But later on, in about 2012-13, computation elements were added to the blockchain infrastructure. And that has opened up a whole world of possibilities beyond simple currency transfer. So Bitcoin earlier was only designed for the currency transfer. But in 2012, Ethereum has opened the door for the business applications. So Ethereum blockchain extended the scripting feature into a full-blown code execution framework. called smart contract. A smart contract provides the very powerful capability of code execution for embedding business logic on the blockchain. In 2018, another infrastructure has came in picture, that is Hyperledger. So Hyperledger is an open source collaborative effort created to advance cross-industry blockchain technologies. It is a global collaboration hosted by the Linux Foundation, including leaders in finance, banking, IoT, Internet of Things, supply chains, manufacturing, and technology. So as various infrastructures are developed, based on such capabilities, three major types of blockchains emerged from Bitcoin Foundation. So as we can see, the three types are there. The type 1 deals with the coins in cryptocurrency, currency chain. Example, Bitcoin. Here only currency exchange happens with this platform. Type 2. Type 2 supports cryptocurrency and a business logic layer supported by code execution. Example, Ethereum. Ethereum has worked out marvelously on how to solve these problems of scaling and privacy and a number of other issues that needed to be worked out for public network. So as I said, Ethereum has opened various opportunities for the industries to add business logic along with the currency on blockchain technology. Type 3. In type 3, there is no currency, but it supports software execution of business logic. So those applications where we don't want to add the currency, cryptocurrency, but only we want to have the business logic, this type 3 is perfect example for that. And the examples are the Linux Foundation's Hyperledger. And along with Hyperledger, few applications like Corda, specially designed for finance applications. IOTA, this is blockchain infrastructure specially designed for sensor technology, Internet of Things to get on blockchain technology. So these three types, but along with these types, when there is a public access, so with the addition of code execution comes the serious consideration about public access to the blockchain. So hence the classification of public, private, and permission blockchain based on access limit. So who is accessing the infrastructure based on these three categories are there. So as we can see, the first is public category. In this, we have been watching Bitcoin blockchain continuously operational since its inception, all supported by its public participants. Thus, Bitcoin is a fantastic example of a public blockchain class. Anybody can join and leave as they wish. Transaction blocks and the blockchain are publicly observable even though participants are anonymous. The another type is private. So in a private blockchain, access to the blockchain is limited to selected participants. For example, those participants within an organization. Only for a particular organization, if we want to execute application, then private blockchains can be used. This restriction helps in simplifying the normal operations such as block creation and contingence model. Then the third type is permission. The third classification of blockchain is a permission blockchain, also called as consortium blockchain. It is meant for consortium of collaborating parties to transact on a blockchain for ease of governance, provenance, and accountability. For example, a consortium of all automobile companies or healthcare organizations. Permission blockchain has the benefit of a public blockchain with allowing only users with permission to collaborate and transact. So you might have understood what is permission blockchain. So in permission blockchain, other than self-organization, other parties can be added, but with a permission. So it is like we can say it is in between public and private. With permission, the publicly the other parties can be added, and it can keep private for the one organization. So like that, these three public, private, and permission categories, as well as we saw type 1, type 2, and type 3 infrastructure, such significant innovations such as smart contracts have opened up broader applications for blockchain technology. Private and permission blockchains allow for control access to blockchain, enabling many diverse business models. So as we have seen, these infrastructures are available. The question is how to decide that which problem we should execute or we should solve using blockchain technology. So just to simplify it or just to demystify the use case selection for blockchain technology, this framework will surely help. So now as you can see on the slide, use case identification framework. So the use case identification framework enables the evaluation of use case in terms of blockchain suitability. So the evaluation is based on three major categories or three main characteristics. First one is intermediary. So in first category, there are three possible scenarios. In first scenario, intermediary is acting as third party in existing system. However, replacing the intermediary with a blockchain would be faster or cheaper or enable process simplification. That means in existing third party is there, so third party can be removed with the help of blockchain technology, and it will help. It will result in faster, cheaper, or process simplification. In second scenario, there may be lack of trust between stakeholders and any possible intermediary. So here the blockchain could act as an intermediary and enables use cases which were not feasible before. In another scenario of the intermediary, it may be possible that it is not for primary stakeholder, but the intermediary stakeholder whose business model is endangered by blockchain opportunities. He needs to be aware of the blockchain competition and think how he can improve his business model. As we can see that blockchain avoids third party. So such third party stakeholders should think about the blockchain technology and they have to adopt this technology. So this is about intermediary. The second part is, or second category is data. So while analyzing the existing system, the data plays a very important role. The user needs to think about how important three data characteristics are used in the existing use case. So first is data immutability, meaning the data is protected from data manipulation. Second is data transparency, meaning that transaction made with the data can be retraced anytime. The transaction should be transparent. Third is data permanence, enabling data to be saved permanently without the danger of getting lost. So if there is a need of immutability, transparency, and permanence of a data, blockchain technology supports all three of these characteristics. So the more important are to the use case, the more suitable blockchain technology is. After understanding intermediary and data in the existing system, we should think about the process. So the third category, in the third category, the automation potential of the process can be evaluated because we want to automate the system. So blockchain technology enables thorough process automation. So it needs to be established. If the process can be described by defined rules, and if those rules can be implemented as smart contracts. Smart contract can be written like, suppose there are restrictions. If the age of a person should be greater than 21, the gender should be male, the salary should be more than 1 lakh, like this. So suppose there are such rules are there, these rules can be written in a smart contract. So if the process can be described by defined rules, and if those rules can be implemented as smart contracts, so the higher the automation potential, higher the potential for improvement through blockchain technology. Writing a smart contract can be a separate topic webinar. And as I said, and technically how to write a smart contract and all such separate sessions we may have in near future. So here we are just trying to understand that if there are existing use case, I should first study what is the role of intermediary, what is the role of the data, and what is the role of what are the automation process involved in the existing case. So the more positively these three categories are evaluated, the more can the use case benefit. The analysis produces blockchain stability. However, my dear students, Sometimes a blockchain cannot provide any considerable advantage in some use cases, since not all data can be stored on blockchain. As we are aware, blockchain is having blocks and blocks are containing transactions. So there is a limit on the size of the block. So not all data cannot be stored on blockchain. Suppose in the existing system, trust between network partners is already exists and no significant time or cost benefits could be realized. This may happen. So use cases which have been identified as being relevant for blockchain adoption through this process should be further examined to explore how a blockchain for these use cases could look like. Means after this identification, we should study thoroughly the canvas for the blockchain. So what is this? The canvas covers 5 categories. We should first discuss what difference does the blockchain make if I take existing use case on blockchain technology. What data need to be stored on the blockchain? Who participates in the network? What transactions are being made? And also, more importantly, which part of the process can be automated? So identification framework and use case canvas will surely help you to understand the existing use case and the benefit while taking the existing use case on blockchain technology. So by combining identification framework and use case canvas can be applied to describe how the blockchain would improve these cases in more detail, providing input for a proof of concept. Proof of concept, as I said, this is a consensus protocol. Selection of right use case will result in success, but wrong selection of use case result in wastage of efforts and energy. That's why selection of use case plays a very major role while implementing your projects on blockchain technology. So as we discussed the identification framework and use case canvas, various applications are already in process and proof of concepts are there with the industry with the help of this blockchain technology. So let's see which applications are available, are there with the blockchain technology. So the blockchain is poised to innovate and transform a wide range of applications, including goods transfer, for example, supply chain, digital media transfer, for example, sale of art, remote service delivery, example, travel and tourism, platform for decentralized business logic, for example, moving computing to data sources, and distributed intelligence, for example, education credentialing. Along with this, there are additional applications of blockchain like distributed resources, for example, power generation and distribution, crowdfunding example, very famous example for startup fundraising, crowd operations, electronic voting, identity management, and for example, one ID for all your life's functions, and government applications like government public records and open government. So moreover, blockchain can enable an inclusive economy. It can enable a person in a remote corner of the world to partake in a democratic process. Opportunities for innovative applications are endless. What's great about blockchain is it's so young. As we could see, it started with 2008-2009 by a mysterious person, Satoshi Nakamoto, as in the form of Bitcoin. In 2012-13, Ethereum is introduced, and 2018, Hyperledger is there. And every industry to get every technology to get it mature, it takes 13 years, 1-3. So that's why blockchain technology is so young, right? So this is your opportunity. If you are a student who isn't represented by a lot of people that think like you, this is your shot. There is a dire need for critical thinkers, designers, and developers who can envision and create newer application on blockchain to benefit the world. So you have an infrastructure that can allow you to just do things completely differently. So here we can say, as technology is young, I will repeat so that you will come to know the importance of this blockchain technologies. And there is a need of critical thinkers, designers, and developers. And the young brains like you should surely come up with the novel application. So you have an infrastructure, and just take this challenge and do things completely differently. So thank you. This is from my side. Now we will take the questions. Over to you. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, so moving on with the questions, we have a first question right here. Does the Bitcoin currency differ from the currencies like that we have currently, the rational currencies like the dollars or the rupees or the yen? So how does cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin that is, how does it differ from them?
Yeah, as you must be knowing, initially barter system was there, right? So exchanging of the goods was there. Then later on, the currencies in the form of like gold coins, and later on in form of notes it came. And later on, we say that plastic money when we say credit card or something. So that is the plastic money. If you want to understand Bitcoin, how it is different that dollar and all. So it's like a cryptocurrency. As you all are engineering students, and you must be aware about the cryptography. So cryptography, using cryptography, some script is written, and based on that script, the script decides the value of the blockchain and the transaction of the value of the Bitcoin and the transaction of the Bitcoin. I mean to say, suppose you are playing the game of the cards, and on a sheet you are just writing whatever you are winning, that amount. You are as everybody knows how to play the cards, right? So you are on paper, you are just writing player A has owned this much, then player B and player C and player D. So on a paper you are writing, and all are keeping the same paper, or all are having the same copies of the paper. So that way everybody is aware that these are the transactions happen, and nobody is denying it. So even those who are interested in logic, Bitcoin is legal or illegal, that is a separate story. But if you will see, every year or after a few months, the value of the Bitcoin can be checked. And it is in Indian rupees, it is more than 1 lakh rupees currently, which people have, few people I know that they have purchased on very less amount, and it is like that. So
Yes.
you can
The
purchase
beginning,
Bitcoin.
okay. In
Yeah,
the
you can
beginning
sell
years of
Bitcoin,
2011,
but
12, yeah.
yes, and that's why dollar and Bitcoin we cannot directly compare. But Bitcoin, as the value goes up and down, like a share market every time, and the transaction. But the it's the new digital era actually. And though currently it is not allowed in India, but I'm sure in near future every country has to go with digital currency.
Okay, ma'am, then we have another question here from Pankaj. What if all the nodes don't validate the transaction? I mean, don't, if some nodes don't validate it. So could you frame a
Yeah.
question from that?
Yes, it's a very good question. Actually, I did not talk much on mining process or miners. So, as I said, Bitcoin, when you have one Bitcoin, it is having a huge value. And everybody wants that I should have more Bitcoins. So, in the blockchain network, all these nodes are given a task of validating a block. So validating a block is like hashing, you must be knowing. So some algorithm has to solve computationally. It is not that a person is solving something. Your machine is solving that algorithm. It is like a reverse engineering process to get that particular hash. They compute and they achieved a hash with having some zero values as a pre values. I will just try to simplify it. It is just an algorithm that a node has to solve. So as he asked, why nodes have to solve? So the node which is solving this puzzle, he gets the incentives. So earlier it was like 50 Bitcoin to solving this. Later on, it was like reduced to 20 Bitcoins, and now it is 12.5 Bitcoin for a miner. So if a node gets incentives, definitely the peer nodes in the blockchain technology are interested to solve. And sometimes not a single peer. Suppose me and other three nodes decided to work combinedly and get the incentives, that can also happen. So it will definitely, for the incentives, those are called as miners, and the process is called as mining. So the nodes will do the process of mining.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay, there's one more question coming up. Why does something that doesn't have any physical existence, that is just created using cryptography, have such a high value? Like, why a non-tangible thing have so much craze and value today? Like, basically, he's trying to say, like, why is cryptocurrency being given such a big importance in today's world?
Very good question, actually. And
Yeah, this question is from Yash here currently, Yash Suchak. Okay, yeah, ma'am, please go ahead.
Yeah. See, the current scenario is, the problem is reducing the trust is the biggest problem. We don't want to trust on each other. So if you are not using, here the beauty of the blockchain technology is, or cryptocurrency based technology is, see, cryptocurrency is one use case of blockchain technology. Please try to understand. So as the question is based on cryptocurrency, reduce trust. I am not ready to trust on anybody or even on third party. So that's why this digital currency avoids the use of any central authority. Like I don't want government bank, or I don't want that people should know how much amount I am having with me. So anonymity of the user, as well as no central authority. And I don't trust on anybody. So in such all requirements can be fulfilled by this currency. And the value of the currency, as we see that in share market, how many people are preferring, or what is that, how many are transacting, based on that the values go up and down. So that can be a separate study, that why this amount is so high or sometimes it goes down. But due to these features, people are preferring cryptocurrency.
So basically, we're trying to say that we are removing the concept of middleman here, like the way we do in brokerage or certain things like that. Okay. Okay, ma'am. Then
not only middleman.
Okay.
But central authority.
Okay. Any kind of
anonymity
transaction in between. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Means suppose there will be no central bank, nothing. Directly we can have the transaction. Like earlier we had in barter system, but there we were exchanging goods directly with each other.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. So moving on to the next question we have here from our HOD. Like, what is the future scope for blockchain in India? Like in India, how do we see the blockchain or cryptocurrency in the coming years? How do you look at that?
Yeah. So this question mostly asked questions by the people, because in many articles in India, whether it is especially cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, whether it is illegal or illegal, from that it starts. So as I mentioned throughout in my presentation, Bitcoin is just, or cryptocurrency is just one of the application or one of the use case of the blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is very vast, and as I should mention here that the researchers or the authors or industry people with whom we have collaborated, like the companies which are working on the blockchain technology. So I could see that a lot many applications, like Walmart application, everybody might have heard. IBM has taken that project and they have implemented supply chain management on blockchain technology. So in India, or rather I will say all IT industries, almost every IT industry is having a separate section, R&D section for blockchain technology. And instead of focusing on Bitcoin or Ethereum, 90% industries are using Hyperledger, Corda, these platforms where currency is not involved, but all the features of this underlying blockchain technology can be used. So there is a lot of potential, and that's why I said, if you are a critical thinker, designer, and developer, the sky is the limit.
Okay, so we can like say in the coming future, there's a huge scope for this coming in.
Certainly.
Okay. Okay. Then there's one more question coming up. What is the role of blockchain technology in our healthcare sector? Like, how does blockchain help us improving in that sector?
Yeah. Yes, certainly. Because I mentioned in my talk also, like when Hyperledger is there. So Hyperledger is a blockchain platform, which is permission blockchain. That means the healthcare organizations can come together and they can have their work execution on the blockchain platform. Proof of concept also initiated by various companies for the healthcare organization. Even at my college, my PG student, she is working on healthcare application based on blockchain technology. She is using private Ethereum, but I will recommend to all the students who are listening to me that instead of Bitcoin or Ethereum, try to have the collaboration with industry and try to learn Hyperledger. Means we have conducted many workshops on Ethereum, means practical executions of Ethereum and Bitcoin. But the future is for the Hyperledger, permission blockchain technology.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay. Since we are very short on time now, I'll just take one more last question, and that's coming from. Okay. So everyone has access to all the available blocks, but difficult to mine. But what about big companies with huge computational power? Computational power. Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah. See, here two things are getting combined. Means two things are separate. As I mentioned, in the types of blockchain, only currency exchange plus business logic, and one is only for business logic. So when it is only for business logic, there is miners are not getting incentives, and the puzzle is very simple. So the huge computational power is not required. So as per the need of the application, who are the stakeholders of the applications in the existing or the use case, accordingly, this proof of concept or proof of stake is utilized. And based on that, the block gets added in the blockchain. So not necessary always that mining will happen.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Then
That extent.
there is just one more yes or no kind of question. Can our
Okay.
Aadhaar data be decentralized? Since we have only 1 minute, you could just briefly answer that. Can our Aadhaar data be decentralized?
Yes, yes, we can. And Bangalore, Government of India has already started, not on blockchain directly, but they if you go through the research papers, they have kept the data in a decentralized.
Okay, and
And
then
even
just
in my,
okay. Yeah,
you
I
can
just
observe one application, one for all.
okay. Okay, so just we'll conclude it there with the last question. Again, a yes no kind of question. Is the blockchain totally different from banking ledger?
It's actually, if there is banking ledger, you can simulate the banking ledger with the concept of the blockchain. Transactions are recorded and it is distributed ledger, but banking ledger is a centralized. Here it is a distributed, and along with that, business logic is added.
Okay, okay then. Okay, I guess we'll conclude our meeting there. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us such a wonderful meeting. All the other questions, we'll definitely forward it to you and we'll expect an answer from there. So all the